Okay, let me introduce myself, and hopefully I'm not gonna speak too much because I tend to speak too much. You can ask any of my ex-boyfriends, they will answer that I speak too much. Okay, I'm a blogger. I started blog. I listen. Yeah. Okay. صوت منيح. الصوت منيح عم تسمعوني؟
ايه كويس صار احسن.
Okay. I'll try to introduce myself again. I'm a blogger. I started blogging in 2008 and activist. And actually, I don't know why I'm choosing to speak about my experience. I'm worried of it. There's this trend of civil society now, and I'm a bit worried because of it. Because what we witness with the international community is a short trend. So the Arab Spring was a short trend, and then another short trend of transitional justice, and then when we didn't go, the transitional justice trend ends to civil society trend. I joined the revolution at its beginning because back then we were naive enough to think that it's like with non-violence and the international community and 2011, he's not gonna kill us like the 80s. So we're gonna overthrow him, have democracy, and we were even having dreams of civil marriage, women as president. We used to have a lot of high hopes and dreams. Later on, things have a bit changed. I think, like you noticed, it didn't quite work out like we planned. And we, as a group of friends, at the beginning of the revolution, we initiated Kishmayet. Kishmayet means checkmate. And we wanted the political name of it to say that we should remove the royalty in the system of Syria and the regime of Syria and have more democratic state. Back then, we used to spread leaflets, spread papers about constitution, corruption, and etc. We used to be the middle class, those who speak about freedom of speech, freedom of movement, etc. And later on, the regime considered our leaflets are too dangerous, so we had to flee to the other side of the city. In the other side of the city, we realized that at the beginning we don't know enough about our city. I used to know about Aleppo as much as you know about Aleppo, which is nothing, or close to nothing. Because, like, to me, I used to live in this fancy neighborhood, knowing my fancy friends, discussing issues over and over. When reality is, in the other part of the city, they don't have proper schools. And when the area are liberated, this not proper schools also stop because the regime decided that it is his mission is to destroy anything related to life. So we had this discussion: should we open a school? And most of us are doctors, dentists, no one works in education. And we were waiting the international community, the dearest UNICEF that we used to work with, to make videos about them. They're gonna come and open the school, so there is no need. And the UNICEF didn't came. They are still in Damascus. So we had to do something. We created one school, and we decided soon enough the regime will drop, and we're gonna go back to political activism. Right now we have 8 schools, and obviously the regime didn't drop, and the UNICEF didn't come, and we are considering 15 next year. We are thinking strategical planning for the next 5 years. So yeah, that's why I'm afraid from civil society, because it's neutralized it. It makes it okay to plan 5 years ahead in a conflict. and saying, okay, next year our students should have shelters in the school because shelters are safer for them from the barrel bomb. And this planning and the planning ahead is kind of neutralizing everything. We don't need UNRWA. Our motto now is we don't need UNRWA. UNRWA, the Palestinian refugee help, the United Nations body that helps Palestinian refugees. We don't want that. We need a solution. That's why I'm afraid of the civil society term. I may prefer resistance. When protesting was the resistance, we used to protest. When creating a school is the resistance, so we're gonna create school. When, I don't know, when we need to spread leaflets, we're gonna spread leaflets. And resistance comes in many shapes. It's like beauty, in many sizes. So we can resist the Islamist by creating neutral schools. We can resist him by creating light in areas that he insists that should be dark. Whenever you want a dark place to create a green one. So this is what, to me, civil society should be doing. The problem is, we have a lot of problems. The problem is that we are now in this silly talk about politics, this neutral. We need neutral civil society. And I don't know what neutral means. And I understand not bias, but when we are talking about neutral, they also want to steal our resistance, the meaning of resistance, to make it into humanitarian aid. It's not about humanitarian aid. The humanitarian aid is the part that we are doing because we are guilty, because our people in need. But we are activists who want freedom and democracy and human rights. If there is something still called human rights, that's what we do. So yeah, and there is this French poet who says, and I'm not gonna pronounce his name because I think I'm gonna mispronounce the name horribly. He said, those who don't take care of politics, politics take care of them. So now we are political, yeah, of course, we are against our death and we are with our lives. We are against our detainee and we are with our freedom. So we can't be neutral. This is kind of term that the international NGO is trying to impose over us now. The other challenge is how we can balance between battles. Sometimes, to me, I have the battle of the women, the feminist women against the society, and I have the battle of the secular against the Islamists, and the battle of those who are against Bashar al-Assad, with Bashar al-Assad, and the Syrian against the international community who is trying to modernize us, teach us how to negotiate. We have like dozens of trainings about how to negotiate, how to talk, how the principles of dialogue. So how to prioritize between these battles and how much energy should we have to keep these battles going on and on for as much as we can. And I think, I don't know how much time I still have. Please, then I can give me with your hands.
You can talk for some more time, from Gazi and Ted, please.
I can speak even more. But because I have the chance, I want to in the advocacy training, they taught us that I should end with a call of action. So I will end with a call of action. The call of action is, first, we need a lot of destroying stereotypes regarding the Syrian revolution. The reason why a lot of people chooses me to speak about Syrian revolution is that no one will consider ISIS when I speak. Thank God I don't look like an ISIS. But to me, what I want to ask is, whenever you hear Syria, please rethink again and don't consider ISIS as the main and the major topic. One of the times I was speaking and I was telling this journalist about the site that destroyed 4 buildings. And after I finished and he couldn't care less about the story, he asked me, really happily, and you met an ISIS fighter? And I was like, okay, sorry, I couldn't take his photograph. Yeah, I met him. They tend to be there and dangerous, but they are not the story. At least not the story to us. There is another part of the story, and not this Orient place where people tend to fight and kill each other. There's the story of resistance, story of people like us are trying to fight in the most difficult circumstances to gain their basic rights that others can easily take. So please don't consider also destruction and death only. Sometimes when you look at Syrian revolution, you will consider it too complicated, and it is too complicated. Unfortunately, leaving it to Arab here by a lot of countries make it complicated. But through destruction and death, try to look at the amazing story of brave people. People like you have one among you. People who are fighting for a long time for their basic. They could be an inspiration. They should be an inspiration, not only for Syrians. Yeah, there's a lot of death, but there's also a lot of courage, a lot of people who I'm really proud that they passed in my life. And the third call of course, we need no-fly zone. This is the call of action I will always say. And I was shocked when people protested against war in Syria. I was in Syria, and I was being bombed, and people are protesting against the war in Syria, and the war to them is the American bombing Bashar Assad. And oh my God, thank God I'm not leftist. This is my first conclusion, wow. And yeah, we need not lie down, because working on education, we closed 4 times last year the schools because of barrel bombs. And we always feeling that what if he targeted one of our schools? What we should do? Having shelters is enough. Like, yeah, they come to us with social and psychological support programs, but we can't afford to have a yard so that our children plays in it. We don't have any yards in the 8 schools because of the barrel bomb. Yeah, of course, as a Syrian, as someone who lives in Aleppo, of course I need not like German, but I don't know what much we can do to make it even clear in this point. And the last thing I want from everyone who listen to Syrian story, look for those who doesn't have the proper school. When they say 90% of people in Norway having a proper job, look at the 10%, because politicians tend to ignore this small percentage of people that are living without anything. And as an activist and as a civil society, our responsibility is to look for those and try to help those. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marcell. That was a very powerful statement coming all the way over Skype.